You're listening to Sensitive Changemakers. This podcast is created for highly sensitive leaders and is designed to support you to embrace your strengths and gifts so you can feel more confident in your own mind and body and live a life with intention, purpose, and more importantly, joy. I'm your host, Kate Carter, a fellow HSP who has a BA Honours degree in education, is a fully trained and qualified professional coach and NLP practitioner, and has over 17 years of teaching and over 3 years of coaching experience supporting highly sensitive people. I believe that you can do anything you want to in this life, but that sometimes the path forward becomes muddy with self-doubt and fear of failure. It's my mission to help sensitive thought leaders peel away the self-doubt and stories holding them back, for them to see their own beauty and strength so they can increase self-confidence and self-trust through thought and embodiment work and see their path clearly and move forward confidently, living their life with intention and purpose. I would love for you to come and join us. Hello and welcome to Sensitive Changemakers. I hope, as always, this episode finds you well. I have been enjoying quite a busy week, but a good week as always. I have been enjoying reading quite a lot. If you aren't aware, I'm quite an avid reader. I do read something every single day. I tend to have two different ways of reading. So if I'm reading non-fictional and things that interest me, mostly to support me with my business, or maybe there's something I want to learn more about, I tend to listen to audiobooks because I like making notes, or I like just kind of doing other things while I'm listening to that. Maybe, I don't know, clean up the kitchen or going for a walk, etc. But I also do love fictional books, and I tend to love reading those on my Kindle, and that is kind of my way of relaxing. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do read a lot, and when I read, that is my kind of switching off, escaping reality for kind of 10, 15, maybe half an hour at times, with a good cup of tea and just kind of enjoying resting. So I would love to hear from you as to what kind of books you like. Do you like reading? Do you like non-fiction, fiction, all of it? I would love to hear from you. That is not what this episode is about. I just wanted to kind of add that in. Today's episode is all about practical tips that I hope are going to be really supportive for you. So if you're listening to this, I know that you have big goals and big dreams, and you've got lots of things you want to achieve. I also know that you're highly sensitive, and you may get yourself stuck into those thought spirals that we often talk about, where you start looking at maybe your dream or goal from every possible angle, and you look at it and look at it and look at it until you get stuck in that kind of what we call analysis paralysis, where you're kind of analysing it so much that you're not quite sure what step to take, how to do it, and you feel completely overwhelmed. So this episode is hopefully going to support you in putting one step in front of the other and moving towards your dream consistently. Highly sensitive people, as we know, often face challenges in pursuing big dreams because of their heightened sensitivity to stimuli and emotions. It is just part of being highly sensitive. Like we said, we can often both get overwhelmed internally and externally. And by that, I mean internally, those thought processes, really kind of getting deep into those thought spirals, so much so that you don't know what to do next. But also externally, you know, if there's lots of things going on around you, if there's a lot of noise, if there's a lot of different activities, it can be really difficult to find the calm and the peace to actually complete what you want to get completed or done. And so I'm going to introduce something. You may have heard it before, but I think it's going to be a really good tool for you to kind of just play around with and see what comes up for you, see if it helps. So the Eisenhower Matrix, this is a time management tool. Now, I want you to take this with a HSP pinch of salt, should I say. So as we're talking through this, I want you to see it through the lens of being highly sensitive and how you can adapt this to be flexible, to be adaptable. So what we're going to look at here is how to prioritize tasks, how to reduce overwhelm, and how to focus on your goals. So first of all, the Eisenhower Matrix is also known as apparently as the urgent important matrix, and it helps you to prioritize tasks based on your urgency or its urgency and importance. So you've got four quadrants. You've got urgent and important. So I kind of want you to envisage like four boxes. So you've got the first box, which is urgent and important. And those are the things that you do first. You've got the second box, which is important but not urgent. And this is the things that you might schedule or get support with. Number three, urgent but not important. And you can delegate there. Again, maybe looking for support. And number four is not urgent and not important. And maybe these are the things that you can eliminate or at least reduce. Okay, I hope that makes sense so far. So the first thing is identifying what your big dreams are and breaking them down. And I'm going to add in here as well, really being aware of when you get into those overthinking tendencies, that kind of paralysis, if I can speak, where you start kind of analysing every aspect of your dream. I want you here to clarify and define what your big dream is. What do you want your future to look like? If I could wave a magic wand, what would you like that future to look like? And just allow yourself to dream that for a little bit, because I don't think a lot of us do. Really visualize that. If you're a kind of a visual person, this would be great for you. If not, you can write it down in your journal and kind of just flesh it out that way. But really do spend a bit of time just thinking about what that would look like. How would you behave? What would you be doing? What would you look like? How would people be interacting with you? What would your day-to-day activities look like? Just so you have a real clear idea of what you are working towards. And I would bring emotion into this as well, because emotion is really important when we are planning things and when we're looking at the reason why we're consistently taking action or moving towards it. That emotion is going to keep us going. And when you've got an idea of what your big dream is, what I want you to start to do then is work backwards. I used to do this in teaching all the time. You've got a big goal, you've got what the kids want, what you want the kids to learn, and then you're going to break it down and move backwards. So first of all, looking at the milestones. So you want to divide your big dream into smaller, manageable milestones or tasks. So you're going to look at what you think you need to do. Now, if you've got any if you're unclear, should I say, in how to actually break these down, if you're unclear on what you need to do, then that is a point to get some support, to talk to somebody, to even just verbalize it through with somebody, because actually just verbalizing it can help to kind of create a plan in mind. So do look for that support. And if you would like me to kind of be that soundboard, somebody to kind of support you in this, please do let me know. So you're going to kind of look at those smaller, manageable milestones, moving backwards from that big dream. And what you're going to do is you're going to start to categorize those tasks. Okay, so I would personally, if I was doing this, I would make almost like a best case timeline with the goal at the end, and then the tasks or mini goals, if you like, that you feel that you have to meet on the way there. And then I would look at that very first manageable step that you've got in the process. So you're looking at the first thing that you need to do right now. And then I would look at that and break that down even into smaller steps. Okay, so what does that goal involve? What would I need to do? And then that's where this Eisenhower Matrix comes in. So you would look at that first step and you would think, right, are there any deadlines that I need to give myself, or that, are around this particular goal? And if there are, that's going to be in that first box, isn't it? Urgent and important. If you've got any tasks that contribute to long-term goals, so your overall arching goals, but they don't need immediate intention. So, for example, you might need to research something, you might need to network something, you might need to do a bit of planning. That's going to go in that second box of not urgent, but important. And again, you're going to go through the other two boxes. So, urgent, but not important. This might be things like routine, administrative work, or minor issues that maybe somebody else can handle that you don't have to. And you would put that in this box. And then you've got the not urgent and not important. So these are activities that are not going to support you for your goal with your goals, and they don't require immediate action. This might be something like social media browsing, meetings that you don't necessarily need to go to, and those are the ones that you're going to try to reduce or eliminate completely. And as you're going through this process, what I want you to just remember is looking at it through, like I said, with that HSP lens. So as you're going through this, just remember you might be somebody whose energy levels are better in the morning. So if that's the case, make sure that when you're looking at tasks that are urgent and important, you might want to look at doing those in the morning when you have better energy levels. And that's going to support you with reducing stress and ensuring that you're focusing on those things. So that's just one way to look at it. Obviously, if your energy levels are higher later in the day, then that's when you're going to focus on doing those activities. I also want you to think about when you are looking at important but not urgent details. So like researching, like networking, like maybe doing some reading around something. Don't just let that fly by the wayside. We want to kind of schedule that in. And again, scheduling things in, but being adaptable, having that HSP lens and go, right, in an ideal situation, that is when I want to schedule some time to do some reading or do some research because I haven't got much on that day. I've had a good, I don't know, maybe you've had quite a restful day the day before, and that's going to be a really good time to focus on that because your head's going to be clear, your energy is going to be relatively high, and you're going to be able to dedicate some time to that. We don't want to be scheduling these things in when you've got a lot on because we know as highly sensitive people, we do get overwhelmed with just generally internal and external stimuli. So we want to just ensure that we're protecting our time around these different things that we're scheduling and putting into place. I hope that makes sense. Another thing that I want you to think about is asking for support. And I mentioned this earlier, delegating, asking for others to help you out. This is okay. And I think as highly sensitive people, just generally as human beings, we do find asking for support really tough. And I would really ask you to kind of think here, are there times when actually I don't need to do that, but I need it done? Can I ask somebody else to do that for me? A huge example of this, which I hope resonates, is housework. For me personally, it's something that needs to be done. But it's not necessarily something that needs to be done by me. And I have two kids who are getting older, and so they have chores around the house, and they do help me every week to clean the house now. It may be something in the future, it is on my kind of dream list or wish list, should I say, that I would love to be able to have a cleaner maybe come around once a week. So it's that kind of idea, things that kind of need to be done to help you. I like having, a clean, tidy house. It helps me to think clearly. It helps me to feel refreshed. It really does affect my mental state. And so it is something that's quite important for me, but it's not something I necessarily need to do. So I can delegate that, or at least I can get support with that. So I'm hoping that makes sense on that front. And the other thing that I really want you to focus on here is minimizing distractions to conserve your mental and emotional energy for what truly, truly matters to you. And I know that phones and social media, it's just addictive. It's in its nature. That's what it was invented to do, to keep you on that platform. But I would really recommend, if this is something you struggle with, setting yourself limits when you're on there. You can do this via your phone. You can actually set yourself like time limits, but you could just set a timer for like 5 minutes. I'm just going to be on here for 5 minutes or 10 minutes just to do what maybe you need to do. Maybe you need to do some networking on social media. Maybe you need to post something, but just really keeping that to what needs to be done and then coming off it. And the other thing that I really, really kind of just want to highlight here is making sure that you are putting in some downtime. So yes, you are ambitious. Yes, you've got big dreams and big goals and you're working towards them and you're breaking these kind of big goals down into milestones and smaller steps. Fantastic. And we've talked through how you can do that by using the kind of urgent, not important, important, etc., by using the Eisenhower Matrix and how we can do that. But the important thing I think to really remember here is the importance of intentionally scheduling breaks and leisure activities to help you to recharge. This is so important. And a lot of us just think that we have to keep doing. And you're only going to get so far with that before you burn out. So we want to schedule in that downtime. And for a lot of us, as well as highly sensitive people, creating that safe space is going to be really vital for us. So having a physical or mental space, in fact, I would probably argue having both, to retreat to when you feel overwhelmed. That is what fictional reading does for me. It allows me to take a mental safe space. To just go in, do something completely different, to read something that is not, I mean, I love kind of sci-fi, fantasy, adventure. So it just takes me completely away from my current reality, just as a complete break. That may not be the thing for you, but I would really recommend you thinking about what yours is. What is your go-to rest activity? That kind of retreat to a mental safe space or a physical safe space. It could be like a physical safe space, might just be a really quiet room, or a mental safe space might be a trusted friend that you can talk to, or a favorite hobby that you do. But I think it's really important to include that in this so that you have those energy levels to actually do what you want to do. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So I've put here as well about adjusting the matrix. So as you're working through this, you're going to need to reflect on it, maybe every couple of weeks, just to review what your task list is and maybe just shift things around, be adaptable with it, be flexible with it. And you might need to, things that you've written down in particular quadrants or particular boxes, you might need to shift around and actually just take a moment and listen to your intuition and your emotional responses and just think, actually, that's not a priority now. This is, and I need to kind of just shift that around. So be adaptable with this, be flexible with this. And again, making sure that you are aligning what you're doing, your activities with your well-being as well. Your well-being is so important in this. And like I've said before, I think I'm just going to reiterate it because I think it's so important when we're talking about something that's really tangible like this matrix is. I think it's so important to not forget to take those rests, that self-care, really making sure that you are practicing looking after yourself, managing your sensitivity, and really preventing that burnout. And if you do have an idea of different triggers that overwhelm you or that trigger that overwhelm and anxiety, then again, adjust your tasks accordingly, shift priorities, look for support, ask for that help, maybe delegate if you can. I'm going to give a practical example here because quite a few of my clients are business owners. So I'm going to make this applicable to business. Please think about it in your own terms and what's going on for you. So in the urgent and important quadrant, you might have, finalizing a business plan because it's due in 2 days, or you might have some notes that you've got to write up because you've got a meeting with some potential investors the following day. So that could be in the first quadrant. You might have in your important but not urgent, which is in your second quadrant, you might have things like researching marketing strategies or attending a networking event, because there's a kind of deadline to that. It's important, but it's not necessarily now. It doesn't need to be done now. It could be done in a couple of weeks or in next month, etc. Then you've got urgent but not important. These are things like replying to potential clients or potential customers or clients, and just making sure that that is being done. This might be something that you can actually outsource or that you can get support with, or you might get a VA to help you out here. And then you've got the non-urgent and not important. And again, like we said, this might be about like browsing social media and just getting stuck in that loop of being addicted to it, etc. And just making sure that we're reducing that. How can we give ourselves some kind of time deadlines around that so we're not getting sucked into that social media vacuum? So I hope that really, really helps. I truly believe that using the matrix, and I feel like I'm talking about the film now, but using the Eisenhower Matrix, it does help you to look at big goals, break them down into smaller chunks, really focus on those critical tasks that are going to drive you forward closer to your goal, closer to those things that you want to achieve, while also managing your sensitivity and that balance and just looking at what needs to be done. And I think that's it for me. I'm going to leave it there. as we're going over this, or as we've been over this, if there's anything that you need further clarification on, if there's something you need support with, please do let me know. I'm almost feeling that, yeah, I am. As I'm deciding this, I'm going to put it, if I can, as a link onto the show notes, an actual example of the Eisenhower Matrix, so you can go and download it, play with it, have a go with it. And again, if you need any support with this, please do let me know. I'm more than happy to help you through this process. Okay, I'm sending you so much love, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you have any takeaways or any questions, please do reach out to me either through Instagram, LinkedIn or Facebook at Kate Carter Coaching, or you can email me at kate@katecarter.co.uk. I would always love to hear your feedback and the things that you have taken from the podcast. If you know of any other highly sensitive people, then please do share this so that I can reach more and support more highly sensitive people to embrace their strengths and gifts. As a thank you, I will pick a winner every month for a free 50-minute coaching session with me. Thank you so, so much.